Hello and thank you for joining me. My name is Alan. In my last video we looked at the Prepare UK government website, and that video was primarily aimed at it being a good idea to promote disaster preparedness, and then landed up as me having a bit of a mini rant about the comments that I was reading in various news outlets in relation to the subject. This video is the one where I've actually looked through their website and I've highlighted inadequacies, in my opinion, and that's what I want to approach, or that's what I want to deal with in this video. I'm going to go through sort of key points and make suggestions which I think you'd find more beneficial to be prepared for just a few days as per the government's website. Let's crack on. So when you navigate to the website, the section that I clicked on, I looked through the website, but the main section I clicked on was Get Prepared for Emergencies. Be informed. So first of all it says make a plan, which is good advice. Escape routes for the event of fire, for flooding, that sort of thing. Not much to be said about what they're suggesting. Deciding on where you would meet if you couldn't get home. So if you like, that's your emergency rendezvous point, or ERV. Again, good advice. Need to discuss it with your family and decide what you would do should something happen. Create a paper list of contacts. So if your mobile phone was broken, not working or lost, you still have a list of phone numbers and names of people or companies, organisations, etc. that you can contact. That you talk to your children and make them aware of what you'll do, where you'll meet, etc. should there be a problem. And to contact and speak to the children's schools to make sure that your contact details are up to date, and to find out what their policy is if you wasn't to turn up to collect your child on time. What do they do? Chances are you already know that. The next bit was prepare your home, and to be fair, that's self-explanatory, didn't really need any sort of additional input there. Then it says talk to others, which is an excellent idea. It may be that you've got that your street or your neighbourhood has a WhatsApp group or a Facebook page or something like that, where you share information, or if you think there's some dodgy characters hanging about, you tell everyone and you can all look out the window. So it'll be like the sort of neighbourhood watch thing, but anything that's going to get you talking to your neighbourhood or to your immediate neighbours. Then it says get emergency supplies to last a few days, and this is really the section that I found fault in, and hopefully I can make some suggestions that would be more beneficial than those suggested on the government's website. And it says put together an emergency kit. Nothing wrong with doing that. Excellent idea. Put some bits in your car if you use a car, just in case you was to break down, bottle of water, blanket, that sort of thing, high-vis vest, all that sort of general stuff is always a good thing. Then it says put together an emergency kit, which is ideally for a few days if you are told to stay at home, shelter in place, or if you're told to evacuate. So bear that in mind. So the first thing they say is battery torch or wind-up torch. From personal experience, unless you're doing serious money, wind-up torches I found to be pretty rubbish, and they're likely to fail at the time when you need it the most, or the lighting's not adequate, or something falls off it. It's just, personally, I wouldn't bother. I'd go for a torch. I wouldn't even go for a rechargeable torch. I'd go for a torch that takes batteries, and you want something that's going to take either AA batteries or AAA batteries. So if the need be, you can raid the TV remote, or at a push, go into the bedside cabinet and you might find some in someone's toys there. Also, when it comes to torches, I would suggest a head torch over a handheld torch. Again, one that operates on double A's or treble A's. And at this point, I would say if you're going to buy some stuff for your kit, do yourself a favour, don't get it on Temu, because a lot of it is substandard. That's why it's very cheap. And if you're going to put this stuff aside for an emergency, you want to be able to rely on it. This one's an Energizer brand, Amazon, 10, 12 quid. Just a basic headlight, and that's all you need. Head torch enables you to carry out tasks and free up your hands. So if you're cooking, reading, first aid, absolutely anything, it makes it much easier to do with a head torch than it does with holding a normal torch. So, and in an ideal world, a head torch for every member of your family. Now, and some spare batteries, I hasten to add. Now, if you've got young ones and you know that if they get given a torch, chances are they're going to be in bed playing with it all night, batteries will be flat, they'll fall asleep, leave it on, or whatever, or you're worried that they're going to eat it, choke on it, anything like that, then for young children, if they need a nightlight or something like that to enable them to go to sleep without worrying too much, I would suggest a glow stick. They're intrinsically safe, they're a sealed unit, it's very, very difficult to make, to break into them to actually land up making a mess. You just crack it, shake it, you've got 12 hours of light, red or green, perfectly adequate light to act as a night light. It will even, if you've got a toilet, regular sized toilet at your home, you could put a glow stick in there if there's a power cut, and it will offer enough illumination to see what you're doing in the loo and last for 12 hours. It will carry on glowing at a reduced output after that period. But some glow sticks, young kids, toilet, or if you've got stairs in your property, you could put a red glow stick at the top of the stairs. It's just that little visual reminder, if there's no lights on because of the power cut, that there's a potential hazard there. So glow sticks and a head torch over a hand crank torch. It suggests a portable power bank, excellent idea. Keep your mobile phone topped up if there's a power cut. What I would say there is make sure you've got a lead that will enable you to plug your phone into that power bank, and also a spare mains charger. And the reason I'm saying that is if you are forced to evacuate, you have to leave your home, you might end up going somewhere that has electricity. So to be able to plug your device into a mains outlet and to charge it normally, and or to charge up your power bank that may be depleted, is worthwhile having. Either if you've got an old one knocking about, they're not particularly expensive to buy, just to put in your kit. Spare batteries, already touched on that. Pick equipment that use the same batteries. So all have head torches or torches that operate off the same battery. Makes life so much easier. An AM/FM radio. It will keep you entertained to a certain extent if there's a power cut. It will also keep you up to date with news, what's happening in the world or in your area or in your country should the juice go off. This one takes 2 AA batteries and lasts for weeks on those batteries. This is a Sony. I know they're not available anymore. On Amazon there's some pretty sort of unbranded design, much the same. I got one for the father-in-law fairly recently because he was spending a fair bit of time in hospital, and he's had no trouble with it, and it was literally 8 or 9 quid. It was bright red, but it was 8 or 9 quid. So, but an emergency battery operated radio. Yes, you can get radio on your mobile phone, but it will eat your battery much quicker, and at the end of the day you're better off with a dedicated radio. A first aid kit, absolutely. If you're not trained in first aid, don't go for a trauma kit. All you really want to do is some plasters, band-aids, some antiseptic cream, a couple of bandages, some burn dressings and some normal dressings, and perhaps some steri strips, wound closure strips, and a few bigger dressings. But you don't really, in my opinion, need a full trauma kit, not just for your 3-day emergency kit. But by all means, if you're trained in, if it's your professional, you're trained in it, then you use what you've got. If you have to evacuate, you've got to carry it. That's all I'm saying. When it comes to the water section, I think it's 2.5 to 3 litres. They're saying that the World Health Organisation recommend for survival. It's a pretty broad and sweeping statement. To be fair, you can survive, as in not die, on as little as 500 millilitres, half a litre of water a day, if you're in the shade and not doing anything. Yeah, as in you're static. That will keep your organs functioning. Not ideal, so that isn't really where we're going to go with it. They then mentioned something about you'd be more comfortable with 10 litres a day. Absolutely. If you're at home and there's an uninterrupted water supply, then that's excellent. But if your water supply is interrupted or you have to evacuate, there's no way you're going to be carrying 10 litres for one person for one day. So that would be 30 litres. A litre is a kilogram in weight, so that'd be 30 kilos just in water. It's ridiculous. You've got purification tablets, filters. That's a whole different video because of the time. Yeah, it's not just get that, do that and you're good. There's so many variables to it. So by all means, get some 5 litre containers of still mineral water from the supermarket, cheap as chips. Get 3 or 4 of them to keep in your property. So if your mains does go off, your water supply is cut off or whatever, for whatever reason, for a relative short period of time, you've got water without having to go to the shops and queue up with the masses and everything else. If you do have to evacuate your property, then in all fairness, if you can carry, or each person within your group, obviously little children excluded, 2 litres, that's going to get you over the initial problem until you can work out where you're going to get or replenish your water supply. In that case, as you'll see when we come to the food section, why I recommend a certain food, because it doesn't need any additional water added into it. So water, yes. What I would say is, if you can, if your normal daily transport is a vehicle, so if you've got to evacuate, you've got the means to carry a weight, then I would suggest perhaps that you get, say, a 10 litre or 20 litre water container, the type you do if you're glamping or camping, and then you could fill that up even with tap water in advance and have that there, and then you can put that into the boot of your vehicle because you're not carrying it, but that then increases the water that you've got with your 2 litres per person. Next we come to food, and the video will cut into that because that's quite a big section. The reason I'm saying that is because when you look at the website, it recommends tinned food, non-perishable food. It mentions tinned meats, tinned fruit and tinned vegetables. And that, to be fair, when they've done that section, I think that's why they've got a little bit of stick for what they've put in there. Because there is nowhere in this earth that I would want to get a tin of mixed veg and sit there eating that stone cold. For a start, it's minging and there's no calories in it. Yeah, it's not, you need calories. You need your fats and your proteins and your sugars to a certain extent to give you the energy to actually get on and function. Yeah, a tin of peas and carrots isn't going to do it for you. So we're going to crack over into the food section right now. So breakfast options. If you've got a stove and you've got a facility to boil water, then there's Oats Are Simple. They do different flavours. I would suggest two sachets would be a portion. They can work out a little bit expensive. If you are strapped for cash, then consider just getting a large kilo bag of porridge oats. Can be a supermarket's own brand, whatever, and then either take that as a whole package or decant portions into Ziploc bags. It suggests that you add milk. You haven't got to, you can just add hot water. If you do want to add milk, get some powdered milk, again, decant it into Ziploc bags, so that's a smaller amount. So that's one option for breakfast. Or think about what you or your children, whatever, normally have for breakfast. Could be cereal. Again, decant into Ziploc bags. So you could do them portion size. Powdered milk, yes, you're going to obviously have to use water. Mix it up with the powdered milk and you've got cereal. So that can cover your breakfast option. I don't know if they still do it. When I was a kid, you used to be able to get the little boxes of cereal. You might want to go down that route. But for an adult, there's never going to be enough. But just decant cereals into a Ziploc, powdered milk into a Ziploc, add water, Bob's your uncle. So that's your breakfast, or a suggestion for breakfast for your 3 days of emergency supplies. Lunch options or snacks. Something like cream crackers. You can buy obviously supermarket branded, larger packets. So snacks, lunch, cream crackers. Peanut butter, you may not want to lug a big jar about. Again, if you've got the time, decant some of the peanut butter into a Ziploc, perhaps double bag it. So you can have the peanut butter on crackers, Marmite on crackers, jam, sandwich spread. When it's unopened, it's got a very long shelf life, a couple of years. Once it's opened, you pretty much got to eat it straight away unless you've got a fridge. So we're going to take it that you haven't got a fridge. But if there's a couple of you or more, chances are that little tin would be gone in one session, and they do different flavours. So there are loads of options for you to put onto something like cream crackers, or perhaps whatever type of sort of digestive biscuit, something along those lines. Tuna, you can have with crackers. You know, I know everything is with crackers. Bit of bacon grill, whatever. Snacks, raisins. I call this cat food, but it's a tuna salad with different stuff. So snack, it's lunch. Something like this. Okay, it might not have, you know, a really long shelf life, but if you're looking for something that's going to tide you over for 3 days, and if you've got little ones or not, or even with adults, crisps or mini cheddars. Again, lunch. And if you have got kids or you've got a sweet tooth, I haven't got any Haribo to show you because I've munched them, but there is different types of chewy sweets. Again, and especially with little ones or whatever, or even with adults, it's quite a good morale booster. And again, this time, Nutella chocolate spread to go on your crackers or whatever. So that is your snacks and your lunch. Some lightweight options, either use them as part of your evening meal or as lunch. Couscous, in case that needs hot water, but other than that, it's a doddle to prepare. Pot noodle, whatever. Pasta sauce, chicken and mushroom flavour in a pot. Again, it's add hot water, stir, leave, consume. These are quite bulky, yeah, if you actually open it, the contents only come up to about there, then you've got a fill line to add your hot water to. What you can do though is open it, put the contents of that into a Ziploc bag. So say there's a family of 4 and you're doing 4 of those, we'd start off with 4 of those, we'd open all 4 up, each portion goes into a Ziploc, seal it up. Keep 1 container, because that's got the line in there for water, and then you can just pour 1 Ziploc bag in there, add hot water, decant into someone's bowl and repeat. So you're not carrying loads of bulk. Exactly the same for the pot noodles. Decant into a Ziploc, keep 1 container, and then again you can prepare and serve. So they're again an option for lunch or even for your evening meal or whatever. I keep forgetting to mention these protein bars. I've mentioned these on so many of my videos. Each bar is 196, I think it is, calories. There's 12 bars in here. Don't weigh a great deal. Breakfast, lunch, supper, dinner, whatever. High protein milkshakes. As you can see, it's called Nourishment. They do different flavours: vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, banana. They have every mineral and, what's the word I'm looking for, vitamin that you require. It's 400 calories in a tin, a couple of years shelf life, don't need to be heated up, they're milk based. Shake it up, open, consume. They're like meal supplements. Then we have our normal tins, tinned food. It's okay, it can be eaten cold, minging, or heated up. Only downside, I mean, the good thing is they're relatively cheap. Downside is they're fairly bulky and a little bit on the heavy side. But you've got your normal, yeah, chicken in white sauce and tinned fruit, hot dog sausages, baked beans, rice pudding, that sort of thing. It's okay if you've got the means to store it, because if you need to evacuate with your kit, carrying 3 days worth of tins is going to be a bit of a pain in the bum, but you have to make that decision. And the final option are ration pack meals, rat pack meals. These are the civilian version, made by Wayfarer. Again, it can be eaten cold, okay, but it's best when it's hot. These can be a little bit on the expensive side. I've seen some people selling these for £7 a pop. You can get them sometimes for around £4.50. You've got to look around online and buy them when you can get, you know, special offers. This one, for instance, is meatballs and pasta. As I said, you can eat it cold, or you can get a pot, put some water in it, not loads, just literally a couple of 100ml in the bottom of the pot. Scrunch that up in the packaging, you don't open it, stick it in the pot of water, bring it to a boil, leave it boiling for a couple of minutes, take the meal out, give it a shake, knead it so you've got no cold spots, then literally all you do is rip it open, get a spoon and eat it, job's done. And the water that you used to warm this up with is for your tea or your coffee. They do all different flavours if you like, meatballs and pasta, chilli and rice. That's just a couple that I've grabbed out of stores. The next option that you've got, which can actually work out cheaper, are ration pack meals, British Army or MOD ration pack meals. You will hear on the internet, especially those that are selling it, that, you know, this stuff lasts for 20 years, blah, 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 blah. It really does depend on how it's stored. And as you've got no control of how it's been stored, I'll take that with a pinch of salt. There are guys on the forum that have consumed these when they're well over 10 years past their sell-by date, and they've had no ill effects. But you make your own decision. All of these are relatively new and in date. Hunter's chicken, chicken, potatoes, bacon and cheese in a barbecue sauce. Chicken and pasta. Sweet and sour chicken and rice. They do vegetarian options, vegan options, little green men from Mars options. So they cater for everyone. They can be expensive. Again, you need to sort of do a little bit of homework and snap them up when they're on offer. There is a seller on eBay at the moment that I've used a few times, and I've been buying 10, but the meals are all the same. So for instance, I got a box of 10 Hunter's chicken for £35 delivered, which could sound expensive, but it brings it down to £3.50 a portion. And when you think 10 of them is over 3 kilos in weight, so the postage is going to be quite steep. But there are options. If I'm completely honest with you, if I was building a kit, as the government have suggested, to last for a few days, for purely emergencies, I would, if I've got, you know, if finances are available, go down this route. Yes, it's slightly heavy to carry, still lighter than the tin. Good shelf life on it, You can stick it in hot water, as I said, heat it up, rip it, eat it, use the hot water to make a drink. The reason I'm suggesting these is because if you are following the government's website and it says that you want food for a few days, these serve two purposes. You can keep these as your emergency 3-day food. And then if you decide, or if the government say, right, you've got to shelter indoors because whatever's happened, fine. If they suddenly say you need to evacuate, these are much easier to transport than tins. So this really is something that I would suggest people to go to for those that are only looking to make, to have an emergency kit for a few days. If the bug bites and you decide you want to be prepared for a longer period of time, then these will be placed into kits, get home bags perhaps, go bags, etc., and won't make up the bulk of your preps, because the bulk of your preps would be food that you normally consume, so it'd just be an extension of your larder or pantry, if you want to call it that. So that's it for food. I hope I've given you a few options. Your taste, your finances and everything else will vary, but it gives you an idea of what you can use and how you can use it, especially if it comes to the crunch that you've got to transport this stuff on your back or in a bag to somewhere that is safer. Right, so you've seen my recommendation really is ration pack meals, because they can be eaten cold, not particularly nice, but they can be, or you can heat them up. They only need literally placing into hot water, boil the water, keep it on the boil for a couple of minutes, take it out, open the bag and eat it. So you don't need a bowl to eat out of as such. And all you're doing is boiling water, and the water that you've boiled, as I've said in the video, to heat the meal up, then gives you a hot drink. If you're going to be thinking along the lines of that, I want my kit to be multi-purpose, I would suggest that you stick it in a rucksack. You could of course stick it into a storage box, but I'd have it in a rucksack. That way you know where it is, and then if you do have to evacuate, you grab your rucksack, make sure you've got suitable clothing on and footwear, and you're out the door. You may decide that you want a method to cook, as in to boil water or to heat meals up. Now, in my previous, or a video that I done a while back, which was how to start prepping in the UK, how to be a prepper, what you can do, I mentioned bistro type stoves, and I will still stand by that. For your home preps, so if you lose your gas or your electricity and you've lost the means to cook a meal, the bistro type stoves and the little canisters are all you need to get you over a loss of main services. In this instance, something that is for at home and also for going, you've got the option of the little gas stoves. This is a pocket rocket clone, and they take a little gas canister. If it was me alone, this would last me a weekend, 3 days easily. If there's 4 of you, then you'd want to get a bigger gas canister. So you just think about that. But it's quite easy to use. You screw that on there, light it, put your pot on the top, and everything's good in the world. So that's an option that is relatively easy to use for if you're going to have it in, say, an evacuation bag. Pot wise, if it's 2 people, then really you want at least 1 litre pot. If it's more than 2 people, then you're going to need a bigger pot if you're going to be trying to cook for everyone at the same time. And when I say cook, I'm really talking about boiling water. But a 1 litre pot, you can get 2 rack packs, 3 rack packs in there, and prepare them in one go instead of having to keep swapping over. If you don't want to have a stove, if you decide that you are going to go with the ration pack meals and you don't want to carry a stove, then you can buy ration pack heaters. They're a one-time use. There is a little sachet in the bottom that has some chemicals in there. And then basically what you do is you rip the top of the bag open. It's covered in instructions in various languages. You just rip the top open. You pour water in there. Hasn't got to be drinking water. Can be the water out of a muddy puddle, a pond, whatever. It will still work, and the water does not come in direct contact with your food, so you're not going to land up, you know, causing problems that way. At a real push you can pee in it. You probably ain't going to want to do that, but it works. But anyway, rip the top off, put some water in there up to the fill line. Then you take your ration pack meal, don't open it as it is, you place it inside, fold the top over, prop it up against something so it doesn't fall over, and then after about 7 or 8 minutes you'll be seeing it will be bubbling, there'll be steam coming out of it, and then you take your meal out there, and the same as I explained in the food part of the video, you just literally knead it to make sure there's no cold spots, rip it open, spoon and eat it, and that's done. But it is a one-time use. So if it's one person and you want just you're worried about for your main meal, for instance, you're going to need 3 of these. If there's a party of 4 of you for your main meal, 12 of these. Not particularly expensive, not bulky, not very heavy. Available on eBay, yeah, ration pack heaters. You're going to need something to eat your food with, and of course you've got titanium camp spoons and folding sporks and all that sort of stuff. But if you're watching the pennies, because hopefully this is a kit that you may never have to, and hopefully you never will have to actually use, you can just raid your cutlery drawer and take a dessert spoon out. And if you've only got a place setting for 4 people and you don't want to do that because you'll be short on spoons, go in a charity shop, 30p for a spoon, and you're putting some money into a charity, get everyone a dessert spoon, and you're done. While you're in there, ask them if they've got any wool blankets. They're usually quite cheap. You wouldn't want to go hiking with it, but in the back of your car, it's a good prep to have. So that's your food and a method of cooking it or heating it up. If you've got youngsters, babies, then obviously you need to worry about them, nappies, baby formula, that sort of thing, medication that they might need, you know, child medicines if they've got a temperature or a headache or whatever. And if you've got pets, then you need to cater for them, so you might need a bowl so that they can drink out of, eat out of, etc. Some bits that have been missed off the government list that I think are beneficial to you is that adults have a Swiss Army knife, non-locking, then you're legal, or a multi-tool in your kit. You just never know when you're going to need the tools that are on there. Stick a lighter or 2 in your packs. Get every member of your party a whistle and attach it to their pack or their person. If you get separated, they can blow the whistle. Less energy used to summons help with a whistle, and the noise from a whistle travels further than you screaming and hollering. Not expensive, very cheap. For part of your shelter in place kit, they don't mention it, I don't believe. They mention having a torch, which is fine, but at the end of the day I would also include a couple of LED lanterns. And that way if the power goes off, you've got the means to actually provide some lighting in your property to navigate around your property or carry out tasks fairly easy. That is about it. Rubbish bags. Stick a couple of them in your kit, especially if it's going to be in your rucksack, if it's going to be part of your evacuation bag. So if you've got any rubbish, you can put it in there. Whilst we're talking about evacuation packs, if you're going to do, which I personally would, build my 3-day kit into a bag because it serves 2 purposes. It can be used at home, it can be used going out the door if I've got to go to a community hall, a school hall or wherever to shelter there, because there's been a problem. You really need or should consider something that you can lay on, some sort of mattress. If you're in a school hall or something, especially if you start knocking on a little bit, cold, hard floor is not beneficial to rest in. Closed cell sleep mat. This is a multi-mat one. I would suggest you go to an army surplus store if you've got one nearby and get some roll mats, some closed cell kit mats that were used by the British Army. About 10 quid each, one each adult. If you've got little kids, just buy an extra one, cut it in half, and then you've got a shorter one for children. But it would just insulate you a little bit from the floor and give you a bit of comfort. And if you're thinking along that route, then really you might want to consider some sleeping bags. They haven't got to be all season, you know, going up a mountain when it's -10 to keep you warm. Even just a 2-season sleeping bag. You might still be cold in it if you're in a church hall, but it will offer you some warmth and insulation, or blankets. But ideally you want something that, you know, can give you some insulation and to keep you warm. Right, that's it. I can't think of anything else. If I've missed anything, then please hit the comments and let us know. Just bear in mind that the purpose of this video is to look at the government's prepared website, look at their advice and try and expand on it. It isn't really a place, in my opinion, to say, well, forget your 3 days, you want 3 months preps and solar panels and filtration systems and all the rest of it, because that comes after. If the person, if the person has an interest in preparedness and wants to pursue it, then that's the route they'll take. This is just for that 3-day emergency kit. Oh, and chuck a pack of cards or something in there and a notebook and pen, just to relieve some of the boredom. Anyway, if you like the video, give us one of them. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, and please do hit the comments. If you're a prepper already, put a non-prepping head on and look and give advice for items that are not going to freak people out. We don't need to say, oh, you've got to have an axe and you've got to have a fixed blade knife and you need 20 of them and 30 of them and all the, you know what I mean? This is just for Mr. or Mrs. blogs that's seen the government website and thought, oh, maybe I should have an emergency kit. Let's make it better for them, but without scaring them away. Have a great day or a great night. See you later.